Call the Planning Commission meeting to order of December 21st, 2022. Confirmation of posting. The agenda was posted in accordance with open meeting law, and all members are present except for Ernie Biasi, and we do have one vacant seat. Let's go ahead and do our Pledge of
Nate?
Allegiance. Yes.
Ernie's gonna call in. I think they're just getting his phone number now.
Okay. We can go ahead and still get started. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and do our first public comment. There's nobody in the audience, so we'll go ahead and, or Bridget, do we have any?
No.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open up the phone lines. That number is 702-589-9629. I'll give it about 30 seconds or so.
Ernie? All right, we have you at the dais.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment. And agenda item number 1, approval of the minutes of the November 16th regular meeting. Have a motion.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Under agenda item number 2, for possible action, CU-22-279, resolution number 1226, Mountain View Care Center, 601 Adams Boulevard. So this is a public hearing on an application for a conditional use permit in the R17 single-family residential zone for a change of ownership of a nursing home pursuant to section 11-30-5 of the city code.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The ownership of this nursing home has recently changed, and because this is a conditional use permit per the code, when a conditional use in a residential zone changes ownership, it's mandatory that it come back to the Planning Commission for a new public hearing. But according to the applicant, there will be no material change in the operation of the business.
Okay, this is a public hearing, but do we have any questions for staff?
Is there any kind of inspections that'll take place?
I don't believe so, not for change of ownership.
Okay. Anytime you have a new business license, that does require an inspection by community development, both building and fire. Yeah.
I just have a question out of curiosity. If it was in the commercial zone, would they have to come back before Planning Commission? A change of ownership?
Only if the way they were going to operate the conditional use was going to be different from the prior operator.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Number 702-589-9629. Give it about 30 seconds or so. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any other deliberation or Can we entertain a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 1226, which includes findings and conditions for approval of CU-22-279.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And we'll move on to agenda item number 3. For possible action, the 2023 Land Management Process List, Resolution 1227, City of Boulder City. This is a public hearing and recommendation to City Council on 2 proposals for the Land Management Process List for 2023.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. Michael Mays, Community Development Director. Boulder City is unique in that a majority of the land is owned by the city. And as a result, when the city contemplates the disposition of city-owned land, we have a process in place to have a public conversation about that potential disposition. That is the land management process. So every year, the city solicits requests for interested parties that are looking to either purchase or lease city-owned land, and they submit their applications each fall. Those applications initially go to the city council for consideration, and they decide whether to advance them on through the process. The next step in the process is coming before the Planning Commission to evaluate the suitability of the proposed uses at the locations being contemplated. It's important to reemphasize that this is a preliminary initial step in the review. Just because an item is recommended by the Planning Commission to be added to the list doesn't mean that the City Council will add it. And even if they do add it to the land management process list, it doesn't mean it will be sold and or leased. There are several more steps that are involved in the process, including evaluation of appropriate land use designation in the master plan and zoning as applicable, and then the negotiation of the sale. So the City Council, through this round, have advanced 2 applications for your consideration. The first one is what we're referring to as LMP 2301. The applicant is Desert Link LLC. They're requesting adding an additional 35 acres located in the northwest corner of the El Dorado Valley for the purpose of utility uses. They're looking to build a potential transmission substation at that location. On the screen and in your packet is a map showing the location of their proposed use. The second application for your consideration is what we're referring to as LMP 23-03. The applicant is Southern California Edison, and they had a previous temporary license with the city that's now expired, which requires going through this review. And so what they are looking to do is add 3.5 acres to the land management process list to continue their existing operations at the El Dorado Valley substation for utility uses. So in this case, it's already operational, but it's required to be added to the list because of the expiration of the temporary license. You have before you a resolution 1227, and you can amend that resolution to either recommend advancing both of the properties back to the City Council to add to the list, or just one of them, or to not recommend supporting either of the applications. We have a representative of Desert Link, Ross Holt, who is available by phone, and we can call him if you have any questions on that application. And for Southern California Edison, Jay Glasser is available, and we can call him as well. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Michael, on the first one, the packet stated that the only concern by staff was fire response. So with that being said, did the applicant address that concern of staff? And if so, what was the response?
They understand that they would have to meet all of the fire department requirements for fire suppression on any facility they would build on the site. And that's likely extending water to serve that.
Thank you.
Question, does this entity rent or lease any other land from us out there?
No, not Desert Link.
And is it a need of the solar to have this, or why are they choosing to be out there?
They see an opportunity in proximity to the existing transmission lines to build a substation at that location. So that's their desire where they see the opportunity. Obviously, it would require further negotiations with the city. And I guess for the Plan Commission's purpose, because even though it's Desert Link requesting this, by adding it to the list, it allows this property to be considered for utility purposes in general. There may be other suitable utility purposes that the city may negotiate with an entity as long as it is for utility purposes if it's added to the list.
So it's not the case that we approached anybody or the engineer approached any entity for a need for this, that they see an opportunity. Okay.
Yep, correct.
I'm a bit confused because Desert Link currently doesn't have any solar farms or solar facilities out there, but they want to put in a substation. I'm kind of confused of what the purpose of this substation would be. What purpose would it serve?
To provide for future capacity for electrical distribution in the valley.
So, in my mind, we're talking about growth and development in the El Dorado Valley again.
This would be for the solar field transmission lines in that area.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
And again, we can call either one of them if you have specific questions for the applicant.
Well, this is a public hearing, so we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. And that number is 702-589-9629. I'll give it another 30 seconds. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission, and do we have any motion?
So on our second map here, looking at this, we show the LMP. Where's that Southern Cal Edison? Where's their, I see two maps here. Are they asking for the same property? Are we talking two separate properties is what I thought?
No, the red highlighted, you see the pink. The pink is representation of transmission line corridors. So it is the 3.5 acres, which is the red triangle.
So LMP has a request and Edison has a request? The same?
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
LMP
okay.
is referring to the request number.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve resolution number 1227 as is, which includes findings for additions to the land management plan list.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Nay.
The motion. Ernie, did we get your vote? You said aye? So
Correct.
it's a push. There are 3 nays.
Motion fails.
Oh, as long as you've got it. Okay.
All right. Do we want to make a different motion? Is one of these gonna go forward, or are we gonna?
I would be in favor of approving the Edison, but not the LMP.
The LMP's land management plan, that's not a proposal.
Yeah, but I don't think it should be used for transmission. I mean, we have enough land out there being used for power stuff. Right?
So Commissioner Rudd, which one are you in favor for? The 35 acres or the,
The Edison, now, they're
The
just wanting to use
3.5.
3.5 more acres of what they already have and renew their,
Yeah, it's not an additional 3.5, it's the same 3.5 they're already operating under. The reason they have to come through this process is their temporary agreement with the city expired,
Yeah.
prompting,
so I'm for passing that one, just not
Okay.
the LMP.
okay.
LMP stands for Land Management Process.
Okay.
Maybe to clarify the
desert link?
distinction, we have LMP 2301, which is the Desert Link, that's the 35 acres. And then LMP 23-03, which is Southern Cal Edison, which is the 3.5 acres.
So for simplification purposes, I'll go ahead and move to approve Resolution 1227, which includes findings for additions to the LMP list. We will move forward with LMP number 2203 only. Is that sufficient, Susan?
Just to clarify, 23-03.
23-03,
Yeah.
the Southern California Edison proposal, and not the 23-01 Desert Link.
Yep.
Can I get a second?
I'll
Second that.
Second.
I think that was Beth that actually
Gotcha,
One.
got there first.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Ernie?
Ernie?
Yeah, I'll do an aye.
Thank you. That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, and we will move on to agenda item number 4, AM-22-361, resolution number 1228, City of Boulder City. A public hearing recommendation to City Council on a proposed amendment to section 11-2-4.b of the City Code regarding fence heights and the G, government, and ER energy resource zones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under the current code regarding fence heights, the maximum height allowed for walls, fences, and hedges in various zones range between 4 and 6 feet within the required or minimum front yard, and between 6 and 8 feet for other yards. Due to some recent permit applications for city properties, however, the discussion came up that there's a need for higher fence heights for government properties or for utility uses in the ER zone for security purposes. We have had some instances of vandalism, and we've seen instances elsewhere in the country where that can be quite severe and damaging to our infrastructure for public safety and a host of other reasons. So after discussing this with staff, what we thought was reasonable was to have a code amendment that would allow an exception for government zones and uses in the ER Energy Resource Zone so that fences and walls could be up to 8 feet in height by right. And the 8-foot height is allowed in commercial zones in some cases. And then further, that the city manager could approve taller fences for utilities or facilities on city-owned land. That would not apply to walls. It would just be on a case-by-case basis as needed, and the staff report provides some examples of some cases where that would be needed. It wouldn't be needed in all cases, and so again, the proposal as written is to allow 8 feet by right for fences or walls, but that fences could be taller on a case-by-case basis if approved by the city manager for that purpose. So we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, well, this is a public hearing as well, so we'll go ahead and open up the phone lines, 702-589-9629, and again, we'll give it another 30 seconds or so. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public meeting and bring it back to the commission for a motion. I'll go ahead and make a motion, move to approve Resolution 1228, which includes finding for a recommendation in favor of AM-22-361.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And last agenda item, monthly progress report.
No comment.
All right, we'll go ahead and, we have one last public comment. Number to call is 702-589-9629. Mr. Mays.
This is Vice Chair Lassoff's last meeting, and so we want to thank you very much for your service on the Planning Commission. For the staff, this is our full-time job, and yet for all of you, you have busy lives, and on top of that, you dedicate yourself to the city and volunteer your service, and so we thank you very much for your service.
All right, and with that, we will close this meeting. Meeting adjourned.